Greetings to the great sages of the Union Council. Speak. Yes, sir. Earlier, humans were already known for the union of constellations. They were considered an undeveloped race. At the time of the discovery, the human race had already existed for more than 372,000 years, and despite this, they were still confined to their planet. Something unheard of for any species that calls itself intelligent. A quick infiltration into human satellites gave us a glimpse into their culture, and with it, the answers to our questions. Apparently, humans have been in a constant war with each other for most of their existence. Their databases had such a terrifying amount of information on the art of war that we were unable to continue with the analysis. These periods of conflict set back human advancement for centuries, if not millennia. They were simply too busy thinking about how to kill each other, so much so that for a long time they did not advance their technology in the slightest. In fact, the first known large human city had its origins just 6,000 years before humans established an optimal timetable, and even then they were barely getting to Type 2 technology. Considering the long delay in their organization, coupled with the long periods of time they were killing each other, the surprise was not in how far behind human technology was, due to their conflicts. The surprise was that they were still in one. They were in a conflict they called World War III. As you probably know, there was a long debate about what to do with the planet and its civilization. We could simply intervene and conquer them. But considering how technologically backward they were, starting a colony for any of the Union species would be a tremendous waste of resources that does not guarantee any benefit. At least not one that they could not overcome by invading almost any other known civilization. The debate was quite short, and a very simple but precise conclusion was reached. It is not worth interfering with humanity. They are just an object of study. There was something we could not deny. The long history of human conflicts was the largest discovered so far, so much so that human history could be summed up with one word: war. The idea of such a conflicted world was strange, an object of study for the rest of civilizations. We, the Mermods of the planet Atlanta, or as the humans called it, Kepler 22b, had been studying humanity from a distance for several decades, since the time of its discovery, sneaking into the human star system for convenience. Several times the Union of Planets warned us that this could be dangerous, but we did not listen to them. After all, how much danger was there in a species that could not even leave its home planet? Well, all the information we had about the Earth turned out to have two small details that no one had noticed until that moment, and that in retrospect should have been taken into account before proceeding with the observations. The first of these details was the density of the planet. For the Union, it is a fact that a planet could perfectly be gigantic and still have an average gravitational force. The question that defined the gravitational forces of each planet was not the amount of materials it had, but the average density of these. The entire crew panicked as our exploratory ship was caught in the Earth's gravitational field and began a freefall toward the planet's surface. It turned out that the planet had an average density of level 10.4. Even worse, it turns out that most planets in the human star system have a similar density, slightly lower, or much higher. Despite all the safety protocols, the impact of the ship was inevitable. We impacted directly on one of the battlefields of the current human war, in the territory known as Russia. As you know, I managed to survive the initial impact along with my personal research assistant, but at that moment, I wished I had died along with the rest of the crew. It turned out that the extreme Earth gravity prevented movement. No matter how hard we tried, we could not lift even one of our limbs. The problems worsened even when the systems of our suits detected multiple internal failures in our body. Despite the sedatives that our suits automatically injected, the pain was tremendous due to strong pressure, as if our entire body was being crushed against the ground. Up until that point, the maximum gravitational pressure we had experienced was during space travel, at scale 2 or 3 speeds. This was similar. The last thing I remember from that first experience was the arrival of human soldiers who had managed to open the doors of the ship. Upon awakening, I found myself and my assistant in a strange room that I can only describe as a study room. I mentioned that there were 2 details that we had not taken into account about the human race, the first being the gravity of the planet, and the second detail being something that we should have guessed long before. During the long history of human warfare, it turned out that they studied each other a lot, learning from each other on the battlefield. While humans did not possess the most practical technology, or anything above Type 4 technology, they made up for that lack with enviable biological knowledge. Human technology was focused on 2 things: how to kill something, and how to heal something. It turned out that my assistant and I had been receiving human medical treatment for several days. They had scanned our bodies with their strange machines, comparing the results with hundreds of species of fauna on the planet, until they found a similar biological structure, and used this as a basis to know how to heal most of our wounds in a very short time. In case you are curious, the humans compared us to an animal known as a seahorse. "Who are you?" was the first thing they asked us. "How do you speak our language?" "We analyzed your ship. We found patterns similar to several of our languages, so it was not very difficult to decipher it. So, what is your name?" "Where are we?" "Please answer my question. What is your name?" "Zoraro." "It is a pleasure to meet you, Zoraro. I am Dr. Jane Doe." It was very worrying. The idea that humans had deciphered our language in such a short time was something terrifying. Don't get me wrong, I know that the Union's standard translation technology is more than capable of translating new dialects without much trouble, but we're not talking about the Union here. My concern and suspicion were confirmed in a very short time. A few days after waking up, Dr. Jane informed us that they had finished several analyses. She informed us that our condition, although better than when they found us, was still in a relatively bad state. If we wanted to survive, we had to return to our planet to receive the specialized medical treatment for our species. "What? The ship is destroyed?" I asked the human. "We finished the repairs a few hours ago. Do you think you could pilot it?" "But the gravity of this planet?" "We already took care of that." "You're lying. You humans don't have enough technology to leave your home system. The most you've reached has been the moon of this planet." "You're right. Until recently, that was the most we have managed to get to. But your ship has opened up a whole world of possibilities for us." I apologize to the Council for my mistake. A mistake I don't think I can make up for, even if I offer the extermination of my race. The humans managed to reverse engineer our ship. Not only that, they combined their knowledge with ours, and in a very short time they managed to improve the scientific class ship we arrived with, and had turned it into a kind of military-type exploratory ship. They even improved it to such an extent that overcoming the strong Earth gravity was not a challenge. For my safety, and for the safety of the humans themselves, they chose one of their best men and sent him along with my assistant and I. And that's why there's a human waiting outside the room. End of my report.